that something was coming. Now, after the uprisings started, riots in Tunisia, and the Egyptian protests begin, after this happens, the president behaves as though the uprising surprised him. The administration portrayed surprise as his response for the slow public response. He was surprised. This took him off guard. The White House, and I remember thinking, really? Leon Panetta even went on as far to say that he was getting his updates on the situation the very same way everyone else was. Well, I mean, most people were getting it from Fox, but there were a couple of people, and I bet it was Leon Panetta, was getting it from CNN.
I got the same information you did, that there is a strong likelihood that Mubarak may step down this evening, which would be significant.
All right. So they were getting their updates. It was moving so fast they didn't know what was going on, and they were caught off guard. Well, that's not possible, because the president's own staff were publicly stating in the stability here at this time period that the stability in Egypt was an illusion. Quote, "Stability in Egypt is an illusion, and we have to get on the right side of this thing." Well, how did all of the George Soros people know that stability in November was an illusion? Here is the missing piece of the puzzle. This. You probably haven't heard about this. Gas. Butane. In Egypt, butane is used for everything. Cooking, heating. Without it, you're Amish. You have to have it. So let's go way back to December 2009. We find a little bit of information from WikiLeaks, a cable from WikiLeaks from the embassy in Cairo, stating that in January 2011, the Egyptian government will give out butane ration cards. I want to show you just a piece of the cable here. The current proposal, though still in discussion phase, would be to convert the butane subsidy to a paper voucher system. They described them as smart cards, but they knew the risks. They knew the risks. Could they take on such an entrenched subsidy during a political season and not anger the people? But if they didn't, the subsidy would become so unsustainable that drastic action would be forced to happen, and they'd anger the people. So lose-lose. It was reported on in August 2010 in the Egyptian papers. Egypt's Minister of Social Solidarity said that the butane gas canisters will be sold to the public via coupons starting in January. According to the minister, the coupon system would be facilitated by the use of a new electronic ration card to ensure that subsidized commodities would not be hoarded for the resale on the black market. This really wasn't a popular idea. We have found that the people are not enthusiastic about the idea of switching from in-kind to cash subsidies because there is a long culture of mistrust between the citizens and the government, one that goes both ways, says the director of the Social Contract Center. So, when they said that it was an illusion, the Soros people knew something you didn't know. Soaring food prices, low wages led also to the deadly Egyptian riots in April 2008. The Egyptian government was forced to extend a ration card system to provide more than 70% of Egypt's population with subsidized food. Now, because of promises to lower energy use, they had to do it here. Oh, why did they promise to lower energy use? The Kyoto Protocol. Egypt was going to try this system that caused riots in 2008, now with energy, because of the Kyoto Protocol. So now we have the left helping Egypt with subsidies if they just stop using so much of this, and it causes tension. In October 2010, Egypt's finance minister said that come the new year, canisters of butane cooking gas will be issued based on a coupon system. Late December, Egypt said they would push the ration card system for butane back until the end of February, but the people knew it was coming. They already had riots over food rationing cards. Everything had been ratcheted up. Now, with all of this information, knowing about all of this, is it even conceivable that the uprisings in Egypt were a surprise to the Obama administration? Is it conceivable at all? You're going to have to decide. Back in a minute. Is the so-called revolution in the Middle East a setup? And if so, who is involved and what's really going on? This is really becoming too big of a problem for the world, and nobody seems to be looking at the bigger picture. Let me take you and shift for just a second. I want to take you to Jordan, because there's something that has been found from very early Christian period that is amazing. Something that says, walk uprightly. Walk uprightly. Boy, that seems almost like what we've been saying here is the solution. The E4 project. Basically, it is walk uprightly. And it is sending a message, I think, this little book, on ways that could be the only way we could survive what is coming. Inflation, revolution, possibly a caliphate. It is a collection of 70 tiny little books. They're lead pages bound with wire. They could unlock some of the secrets of the earliest days of Christianity. They were found in a cave in a remote part of Jordan, to which Christian refugees are known to have fled after the fall of Jerusalem in 70 A.D. On the pages, not much bigger than a credit card, are images and symbols and words that appear to refer to the Messiah and possibly even the crucifixion and resurrection. Adding now to the intrigue, many of the books are sealed, prompting academics to speculate that these are actually the lost collection of the codices mentioned in the Bible's book of Revelation. Dr. Margaret Barker, a former president of the Society for Old Testament Study, said, quote, "The book of Revelation tells us of a sealed book that was opened only by the Messiah. Other texts from the period tell of sealed books of wisdom and a secret tradition passed on by Jesus to his closest disciples." That's the context for this discovery. I don't know about you, but I think this is, just amazingly cool, no matter what it turns out to be. But could this discovery lend more credibility to the book of Revelation and its prophecy? Nah, of course not. I mean, the other network telling you the Bible and the book of Revelation is nonsense and a work of fiction and not a lick of truth to it, and you shouldn't pay attention to it. Or we could search our feelings and know what's true, and then take a look at the eerie similarities between what you would read in the book of Revelation about the Antichrist and then the 12th Imam that the Iranians now say is here. I'm going to give you an update here in a few minutes and introduce you to somebody that has actually gone undercover. We have to have him actually in another room because he is under protection now, because he saw the inner workings of the Iranians, and they are preparing for the return of the 12th Imam, which is not a good thing. But here's the 12th Imam. And if you read the book of Revelation, here is the description of the Antichrist. Antichrist kills the Jews and Christians. The 12th Imam kills Jews and Christians. Antichrist rules for 7 years. The 12th Imam rules for 7 years. Peace with Israel breaks a peace. Peace with Israel breaks peace. Global seat, Temple Mount. Global seat, Temple Mount. Kills and beheads non-believers. Kills and beheads non-believers. Mark of the beast. Jesus returns in both stories. If you took the book of Revelation and turned it upside down and made the good guys the bad guys and the bad guys the good guys, you would have the 12th Imam. Nothing to see here. No. Nothing to see here. No one knows the time. Well, except all the experts who have never owned a clock, ever. The rest of us who are humble enough to know we have no idea when the time is here, we just don't disregard things. There are signs in heavens and earth, and people have been paying attention to them for 2,000 years, and you can ignore them, and that's fine. And you know what? People have been saying, I got to believe, I've been thinking of this lately, I got to believe when Hitler was around, I got to believe people thought this has got to be the end of the world. Jesus has got to be coming. They've been thinking this for 2,000 years. But you don't want to get caught off guard, whether it just be another really bad, dark period of the world's history or more. Things have certainly seemed chaotic before. They've seemed chaotic many times before. It's just that this time there seems to be a convergence of events and scenarios that may warrant a little extra attention from us. The good guys and the bad guys, you know what I mean? This might help explain their actions or predict their actions. You don't have to believe it. But if you know they believe it and you understand what they believe, then you'll be prepared. I'm going to introduce you next to our guest, who does have to be in disguise because he has infiltrated the highest levels of the Iranian government. And he says they're preparing for the 12th Imam, which means to do so, they must wash the world in blood. He's next.